Good evening. Welcome to Expat Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhyhan. Here at Expat Insights, we take external views of internal successes of foreigners, immigrants, and expats living in the Philippines. Sometimes we also take a look at their lives back home. Tonight on Expat Insights, I gotta read this. We will talk about cultures. Cultures, they say, are mental programming, mindsets, sometimes habits. In this fast flattening world, those who can serve change and adapt over these multiple cultures win and succeed. Tonight being Valentine's Eve, we will not just talk about adapting to cultures, but romancing across them. To help us with these discussions and insights, I have with me two very romantic, self-proclaimed gurus of culture. Sam Pigott is a tech entrepreneur from USA. He is the COO of SourcePath, an internet consulting company. He claims to love Kate, his sweetheart, just a wee bit more than soupy dumplings in Green Hills. Kate Tighe, a consultant editor at ADB, was in some kind of money lending business in India before she met Sam. He proposed to her on Skype, and here she is in the Philippines, not lending money, but loving Sam. She says she loves Sam just a wee bit more than drinking wine while watching the Filipino sunset from their home in Rockwell. So ladies and gentlemen, romancing across cultures, our guests tonight, Sam Pigott and Kate Tighe. Welcome to Expat Insights.
Thank you so much.
So tell me about drinking wine from Rockwell and watching the sunset.
I think that one's yours.
Or soupy dumplings.
Well, we moved to Rockwell in 2009. We're on the 38th floor. So we have an incredible view of the Makati skyline over here, the Ortigas skyline over here. And yeah, that's one of our favorite things, I think.
And soupy dumplings. How does that happen?
Soupy dumplings, a little plug for Crystal Jade, which just opened a few months ago.
Okay.
It's a place that, so actually we went to Shanghai with a few friends about 6 months ago and had for the first time soupy dumplings, which I think originated in Shanghai. Got obsessed with them. Have been searching for the right place. Crystal Jade opened. It's phenomenal.
It's a chain from Singapore.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So they just opened
This
a
is the
branch
first
here.
one, or there are more crystals?
I think
There
this
are
is the
more
first one
crystals.
here in the
So
Philippines.
is it a dumpling in soup, or the dumpling itself is soupy?
Sorry. So it's there's like a broth inside the dumpling. They
Oh,
put
it's a water-filled dumpling.
water-filled
Xiaolin bao.
dumpling,
I gotta
yeah.
try that.
Yeah, it's
Xiaolin
really
bao.
nice.
So it goes squish.
Exactly.
All right. So what brought you to the Philippines? You came first?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
how and why?
I came, this is actually, so I started a company
Mhm.
with a partner in New York, who's still in New York, our CEO.
Mm.
And the whole idea was to work in the outsourcing industry and be able to provide essentially quality work that reached the same quality as US-based tech individuals. And basically, so our idea was to kind of find an area where that existed, as well as good English skills.
So you found Philippines.
And so we looked on the map, we spun the globe, and then, no. So actually, one of our CTO, originally our CTO was from the Philippines, and so he recommended the Philippines. We looked at India and the Philippines, and we found that here people were very smart and spoke very good English, and so the rest is history.
How did you drag Kate into the picture? Like, how did you juggle your life around and say, Kate from India, come here?
Kate may be better to explain that than I am, but yeah, she was in India at the time that I came over here.
Well, you know, we were living together in Boston before Sam moved here.
Oh,
We were living
okay,
together in
okay.
Boston.
It was not
So I
romance
was-
on high seas. It was romance on land.
On land. We started on
Exactly.
land, and then he was shipped to the Philippines, and I had a 6-month consultancy in India lined up, and I had it lined up for 6 months or something. So then I went to India. I was working in publishing for a microfinance institution.
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't money lending.
All right.
So I was there working, and Sam and I talked on Skype regularly, and he proposed.
Oh, what exactly were his words on Skype? Did he edit them before he did a send message? Or?
Well, I say he proposed, but mostly we were just chatting on Skype, and he said, I think it'd be a good idea if we got married.
Oh, that's what he said.
That's what he said. And
Very
actually,
romantic.
And you thought it was a good idea?
truthfully,
Yeah.
we had a bit of an argument after that. I got angry at that proposal. I was kind of like...
Just after he said, will you marry me? Or
I was kind of... I had this righteous indignation feeling.
Yeah, he
Like,
should have come
how-
with flowers and...
Why would you say that on Skype? And I don't even live in the same
Yeah.
country as you right now.
That's so shameless. Actually.
Luckily, it's gotten much better since that day.
So, no, it was
Like-
a good idea. Now, how is it in practice?
In practice, it's wonderful.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I have
How
no
long have you been
complaints.
practicing this?
Well, we've been together for 5 years.
But practicing
But
marriage.
practicing marriage for about 6 months now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there was trial marriage for 5 years.
That's right, exactly.
And now
We
it's...
didn't sign any documents. But,
Now you are assigned... So you still hold your last name, Kate Tighe.
Yeah.
How does that happen? When do you allow her to do that? I mean, what inside of you allows you to do that?
Kate is her own person, so
Yeah.
I don't allow her to do anything.
Yeah.
She does anything that
All right,
suits her
okay,
needs.
okay.
No, so I think that's actually something we're actually still unsure of. I think, right?
Yeah.
The last name change. I think in this day and age, it's a little bit more common not to change your last name in the
Right.
United States. And actually, my mother never changed her last name.
Oh, so your father's name was not Pigott.
My father's name is Pigott. My mother's name is Slapik. So I kind of...
Slavic.
Yeah.
Right.
I won't repeat that. Sounds like a dirty...
Is that what, Irish, Italian?
Polish.
German?
Polish.
Oh, Polish,
Yeah,
okay.
I think it was Slavic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it became
Slavic.
Slapic when you moved to the U.S.
Okay.
So I think we're still deciding what makes the most sense. But ultimately, you become your own person, right? And
Wait, something else. I want to squeeze in something else. Now, you claim that in these last 5 years of practicing love and marriage, you have become some kind of gurus and experts on it, no? So this being Valentine's Eve, I want to ask you, what to you is love or romance? What is it?
Me?
Yeah,
Sure.
okay, you go.
I think this is a really tough question. It's one of those ones where like you know it when you see it or you know it when you feel it. It's hard
Right,
to describe
right.
in words, but
Yep.
I think with love, when I realized that I felt that way about Sam enough to marry him, was when I realized that that not going for it for the full extent of my lifetime would have been kind of selling us both short. I feel like I think marriage takes a lot of work, and I expect that it will be challenging in the future, but life is so wonderful with him that it doesn't make sense not to choose happiness.
Okay, so that gives me a picture of what it might have been before you felt that, no? How would you try and describe that, Sam?
yeah, I mean,
The question I asked, not her story, not your reflection on her story,
Sure.
but my same question, what's love and romance?
Yeah, well, I think Katie kind of hit the nail on the head at the end. When if you're going to be happier walking through life with someone, to me that's when there's something very special. But on the other hand, also passion is important. To be passionate about the person you're with, about their
So
their
you're
mind.
saying that this little description of Kate did not have passion involved in it? Or
He's stirring up trouble.
passion is important, so...
But I would say care and passion are two important things. They kind of are a little bit different.
Yeah.
One is you have to be willing to care for someone for a very long time.
Yeah.
If we're married for 50 or 60 years, it can't all be passion, or we won't get
can be
anything done at work. Yeah. But ultimately, you have to be willing to care for someone for a very long time, through thick
Right.
and thin. But at the same time, you want to be able to be passionate about them as people, as individuals, which is why she kept her last name. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but you want to be passionate as well. In a
As well.
relationship.
Besides that feeling, so that feeling wasn't care. It was something else. It was like a future without him wouldn't be a future. I'm trying to make it a little...
You know what mine was? It was joy.
Okay.
So I feel like that's also, I would add that
Yeah.
into the mix.
And for me, life felt full with Katie there, and I think I experienced that being here. When without Katie, it just didn't seem, everything seemed a little bit less
Philippines
enjoyable.
wasn't pretty enough.
It wasn't beautiful enough.
Yeah.
No.
The soupy dumplings, some of the soupy dumplings.
The Crystal Jade wasn't here yet.
Oh, yeah, so I missed the point. Okay.
No, but it's a very beautiful country. But you know, even visiting different aspects of the country, it's just to have someone you love with you doing
It
that.
becomes twice as beautiful.
Yeah, twice as beautiful.
Now, my other question would be, now, do you have to work at it? You had that feeling in the beginning, right? And you took the right steps. Now, do you have to work at it every single day while having breakfast or brushing your teeth together or going shopping together? Do you have to work at it, or does it all kind of flow in naturally and smooth and everything's hunky-dory? Is it? So the question is, does it still have to be worked at?
I think people keep telling me that we're still in the honeymoon phase. It's
Okay.
just been 6 months
What
of
is
marriage.
that? What is that? Okay.
Well, I feel really good about this, but I do think at the same time there are moments where you have to recognize that your spouse is a different person than you, going through something different perhaps at work, or that's when the care comes in. And I think we also, because Sam works nights, he works on a night schedule.
Right,
It takes work for us. I think the work that we do is to find time to spend with each other.
So but that's logistics. It's not really
Yeah.
mental or spiritual work. It's
Yeah.
just timetable. Okay, Sam, your point of view on that?
Yeah, I think, to me, I think you have to be willing to allow the person to grow and flourish into the person they need to become. And so you have to, you're together and you're forming a unit, but you have to give them the space to become the person that they're going to become. And so it does take patience, I think.
Okay.
But all good stuff, though. All good stuff.
Okay, we need to take a pause. We need to take a break for a commercial, and we'll come right back at you. And we'll talk about taking this feeling of love and understanding and romance and work across cultures. Not just people, but how do we manage to do this over large groups of people? And we'll come back. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We'll come back and talk about cultures. This is Expat in Science. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyhan. We're still with Sam and Kate. Good evening. Welcome back to Expat in Science. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyhan. We're still talking about romancing across cultures with Sam and Kate. So, Sam, I want to know, now you love Kate and Kate loves you, and you've been in love with each other for the last 5-6 years. Did the differences in gender have to do anything with it?
Well, Raju, I think you're asking me a question that you need to figure out for yourself.
Oh,
but I'm happy
that's
to.
why I'm here. Okay.
I don't know. Of course, I think, of course, that was very helpful for me since I'm a heterosexual
No, because
male.
you spoke about passion, so I'm wondering, like, if passion was missing, would there still be love?
That is a very tricky question.
I'm in the business of tricky questions. So.
I mean, I think people can love one another without passion.
Okay.
For instance,
Like your mom.
Yeah.
Like one loves their mother.
Like mom and daughter. Okay, so would you have
Right.
loved her like a brother? Would that have been possible?
Well, I also that's. I won't go there. I won't go
Had
there.
you been
But-
Kit and Sam,
Right.
or had you been Kate and Samantha, do you think that would have worked?
I
I
think
would be a lesbian for you.
We're not talking.
Bleep.
Bleep.
Bleep that.
Leap. Sorry.
No, I think there are all different types of love, I guess.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
I know what I love, you know, and I love Katie, and then I'm a heterosexual male. But ultimately, yeah, I think especially if you're with someone for a very long time, right? You know, I think passion turns into care. You know, you don't see, maybe this happens, but a couple of 70-year-olds.
Yeah.
Passionate, you know, but they
Maybe.
just are thoroughly in love. And there's some that are passionate still, but love is greater than just passion. No question about it.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take that. What's your opinion, Kate?
Of gender? Of
I mean,
passion?
how would you love him if he had not been who he is? Had he been somebody else, somebody different? Would the love that you carry, would that still exist? Like if Sam was a little more shorter, or more fatter, stuff like that.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the love that I carry would still exist. But I think the fact that Sam is really tall and attractive and man
Yeah.
makes it so that he feels sexy. He feels comfortable with himself, and so
Okay.
I'm putting him out there.
All right.
Believe,
Okay.
believe.
Let's take this conversation to the macro level, to people, to communities, to cultures across the world. Now, you are Americans who have moved into the Philippines, and you've lived in India. Did you ever live somewhere else besides?
Before
Before
coming to the
Philippines,
Philippines? No. I had only traveled.
Traveled.
And
How have you adapted to the Filipino culture? How do you take in the Filipino culture? How do you like it, and how do you adapt it?
I think it's a wonderful culture, but
Yeah.
any time you move to a new place, it takes some time to get used to it.
Right. Yeah.
Beyond just having a cell phone signal everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's useful. That's
as a
useful.
technology person, that's
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
No, but I think when I first got here, the first 6 months were tough, and Katie wasn't with me at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But I think adapting to any culture is difficult, whether you go from the Philippines to the U.S.
Yeah.
or from the U.S. to Europe or anywhere. There's just this, you butt heads for a while, and then eventually you start to kind of find the flow. The beauty of the Philippines is that it's a much calmer,
The
more
butting of the head is not so hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
And
the-
also, like in the U.S., I think one might have to go there and be more aggressive, and
Right.
that might be tricky. It was nicer to come in here and become calmer as time went
Right,
on,
right.
which was really nice.
Oh, if there were any butting of heads, what kind of butting of heads did you have to go through to adapt and adjust?
I think for me, so the first thing that I remember specifically, so when I came here, I was setting up a business.
Right.
And I had to just get, internet connectivity, an office space, all this stuff.
Right.
And when I first got here, what I
Yeah.
first tried to do was go online and find
Yeah.
find this information, which I couldn't find.
Right.
Then I tried to call people, and things would not get done.
Right.
So eventually I was like, all right, I'm just going to get into a taxi and go. And
Yeah.
eventually that's what I found, is that like going and meeting face to face, things start to get done.
Things moved a much more faster.
A bit faster, exactly. And so that was something where originally I might be like, why can't I just call? But then eventually as time went on and I learned to adapt to that aspect of
Oh, really? Yeah.
getting things done.
I never felt that. I mean, I've lived in the States and lived in the Philippines too. But you're saying that you can get more work done in the U.S. on the phone and on internet. You don't really have to have a face-to-face commitment. Is that? That's kind of.
For me,
yeah.
I thoroughly believe that.
Oh.
Just because of my experience,
Yeah.
and even in the U.S., just I hadn't been into a bank in about
Right.
4 years.
Right.
You
Here
know,
you
so-
have to walk in
Exactly.
to make a
You
deal.
got to go into the bank. You got to meet with people. You got to take care of
That's
things.
really a
So-
good. I have never thought about it. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Kate, you spent time in India
I spent time in India.
and you came to the Philippines. So what kind
It's
of
true.
shift did you have to go through?
Well, India presented its own challenges. When I was there, I was in
You were in what city?
Madurai, in Tamil
Madurai,
Nadu.
Chennai.
South
Tamil
of-
Nadu,
south
yeah.
of Chennai.
Yeah.
And I found that city is not so affected by tourists or Westerners yet. It's kind
Madurai?
of still.
Yeah?
It's kind of still got this.
Rustic, old.
Yeah, it's got a very conservative culture and a very religious culture.
Right.
And so I felt as a Western woman there that I had to change my dress.
Oh, you wore
know,
one of those Indian
I
stuff?
wore a kurta and pants and I just found like I had some friends there who were German from GTZ, the German
Yeah.
International Development Agency,
Mhm.
and like going out with them late. All of these things were not really condoned by the circle of people I worked with, who were all local people.
Right.
So I felt like
There's
I
no
had-
San Miguel.
There was no San Miguel, there was no Jose Cuervo. nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
I felt like coming to Manila was such a gift in that it's this big, almost international city.
Mhm.
You can get anything that you want. There's
Mhm.
all different kinds of scenes out there to try out, and it just felt like almost like a breath of fresh air.
The 6 months in Madurai, which is a small town.
Yeah.
A small town, so not many expats in there.
Mm-mm.
What kind of internal battles did you have to go through, if there was any, besides just changing of your outfit? Is there something else that you had to overcome? A little unseen value conflict?
Well, this one internal battle, I hope I kept it internal, was that I signed up to use the gym in this hotel.
Yeah.
And women women in that city, women in that culture of that city don't really use the gym. It's really a luxury of, I think, Western women.
There was a gym.
There was a gym.
Yeah, okay.
There was a gym, and
Yeah.
I think foreigners who stayed at that hotel used the gym, but
Yeah.
most of them were men. And women who use the gym wear the kurtas while they work
Rubber
out.
shoes and tennis shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was the only woman in the gym whenever I worked out, and there was a male gym attendant who was always trying to get me to do certain exercises.
Right, right.
And because of the culture, I always felt really conscientious of the relationship between the gym instructor and myself.
You felt the distance.
I was like
and
trying to figure out what he was thinking and trying to figure out if this was
Oh,
appropriate for the culture.
Did they speak English, the instructors and the attendants in the hotel?
Some English, but
Well-
communication was hard. I did actually go to his house and meet his family and had
What was
breakfast
that
with them.
for?
Why did I go to his house?
Yeah, the bonding.
Well, that was the thing. Like, he was inviting me to his house, and for a few weeks I thought this is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I went and I met his daughter first, and she was a really, really bright engineering
Child, yeah.
student.
Okay.
And then we got to his house, and he put in a tape of Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
1975.
Yeah.
He said, okay, here's new training for
So I
you, new
thought,
insight
yeah.
into
Right.
I felt like I had a much better sense of who he was and where he was coming from
You
after
should
I
have gone.
visited
I've never seen
his
that.
home.
Who's Arnold, by the way?
Exactly.
So coming to the Philippines, and how do you like the culture, and what do you appreciate the most about the Filipino culture?
About the Filipino culture.
Besides being able to get dumplings and tequila and beer.
No, I feel like the culture, what this culture has taught me is that it's important to be patient. I feel like Filipinos are always so patient with me and with Westerners especially.
Oh, okay.
Because we come with certain expectations of like, this should be able to work in this way and maybe it doesn't. I feel like my friends here who are Filipino, I watch them in frustrating
This is at
situations.
ADB. This is at ADB or even outside of ADB?
Even outside of ADB,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
watch them go through sort of some of the similar things that I go through, and they just have this like, this patience and sort of generous way about them with people.
Right. I was with a culture trainer last week, and she was describing, she said the American psyche is like a peach with a really hard nut inside. And she said the Filipino culture is like a peach all the way. There is no hard nut
That
inside.
sounds much more delicious than with the hard nut in
The
the.
all the way peach?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your take on it? What's
What
your
does
take
that
on the
mean?
Filipino attitude? Do you find them also as careful and nice to you as they are to Kate, or do they treat you differently?
Kate is much more attractive than I am, so.
No, I could see that. I'm so in the camera.
I feel like, I feel like I've been treated very nice here.
Yeah.
You know, it's first of all, I'm kind of coming in. I'm very tall, so I'm very.
Are you?
I'm actually
okay.
6'4". Yeah,
Okay.
So I kind of stand out like a sore thumb, but people only point at me and every so often. But I think I actually work with my whole staff is local here, and I've worked with them for a number of years, and I think what's wonderful is it kind of feels like a community and a family within my work environment, and I think most of that is fostered just by the people that work there, and things happen around food. Which is wonderful. I think everyone there is very family oriented.
Yeah.
Which sometimes that's I feel like one of the, maybe that's what makes people in America a little bit harder inside.
Yeah.
Is that we're kind of kicked out of the house at 18, sort of.
Right.
And there's this fierce independence that you need to foster. But here, I can see both how important family is,
Yeah.
and how it adds, just as Kate adds so much to my life.
Yeah.
Family adds so much to someone's life, and that's a wonderful thing.
Well, independence is
appreciate.
what the American is all about.
Mhm.
And here Philippines, okay, there is a certain amount of independence, but
Sure.
there is more dependence on each other, no? Now, they say culture appears one thing on the surface, and when you get deeper into relationships and when you work with people or when you live in with people of a different culture, some other things kick in. Yeah. Have you ever had that experience that, hey, this is the part of the Filipino or Indian culture back in Madurai that I did not foresee up until now, even though I've been here for 6 months or 6 years? Have you ever come across that aspect in interpersonal relationships? That was a long question. Yeah.
Well, I feel like what I was saying about patience and generosity is true on the surface.
Yeah.
But I have noticed, and I still haven't figured out how to reconcile this, but I've noticed that there's this undercurrent of violence here.
You did?
I have, yeah.
And what?
I mean, maybe
what
it
are the signs
exists
of it?
everywhere. I think one of the things was when I read about the not being allowed to sing Frank Sinatra's My Way at karaoke.
I didn't know that. You're not allowed to sing that? My Way?
Yeah, there's I think we read this, but it's been confirmed, I think. But yeah, in
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Just
for
It's
don't
dangerous-
do
a
it, Raju.
dangerous song.
Are you kidding
Don't
me?
do it. Yeah. So I guess you can be killed
It's a
No, that's
dangerous
for
song.
women or just
for anyone.
anyone.
I'm not supposed to go sing My Way in a karaoke. I'll get
That's what
killed.
we've heard. That's what we've heard.
It was a story in the New York Times.
But also, I think that's been kind of confirmed around
if
here.
you're
that-
watching this, if you're listening to this, and if you're an expat and if you love Frank Sinatra, stay away from My Way.
Just My Way.
Do it everybody's way, but never do it your own way. So,
Sing
yeah, is that true? I've been 30 years in this country, and thank God I don't go to karaoke. Otherwise, I would have not survived 30 years.
Oh, karaoke is another thing that I love about this culture.
Sorry?
Karaoke is another thing that I love about this culture.
Okay, okay.
It's really challenging for me personally.
To
But
go and sing.
hmm
All right, so that's My Way for her. How about you, Sam?
Oh, I sang Dancing on a Star, which is an old Frank Sinatra classic, and got punched in the face.
You did?
No,
You're kidding me.
No, I'm kidding you. I'm
Yeah,
kidding
okay.
you. Yeah, so I am a Sinatra fan, though.
All right, okay.
What about me? I'm sorry, I don't remember the
No,
question.
I'm
is
saying the
the-
question is, did you ever come across an underlying culture that you hadn't foreseen on the surface?
I guess I'm more of a surface person.
Okay, I like
that. But I mean, I guess anywhere there's always something else going on under the surface, right? And I think I agree with Katie. There's a bit of there's a testosterone nature here
You know what I
that
think?
might not be seen, but that exists, I think, in every culture.
I
so.
feel like in the U.S. there's the testosterone's on the surface,
Okay.
and then underneath there's a lot. I mean, I was thinking about this sort of conservative fundamentalism in the U.S.
The peach in America is a prune. A prune, is that what you're saying?
I was thinking it's like the pit is on the outside and the peach is on the middle. Like if we're gonna go into this
It
peach
gets an
analogy,
orange.
let's do
All right,
it.
let's hold that. And let's take a
It's a
break one more
pomelo.
time. We'll take a 1-minute break, and this time we'll come back. We'll talk about the Filipino values of Bahalana, etc. The little 5 or 6 Filipino values. We'll talk about that if you're aware of it. And then we'll wrap up with love. Is that okay? Yeah?
Sure.
So ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us. We're talking about romancing across cultures with Sam and Kate. I'm your host, Raju. Stay there. Welcome back to Expat in Science. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyhan. We are still with Sam and Kate, and we are talking about romancing across cultures with these self-proclaimed gurus, and I have a question for them. Let's see if they can handle this one. Sam, one of my favorite philosophers, Woody Allen, he claimed that everything about life is an illusion. Even love is an illusion. So from that perspective, do you think you spent a lot for Katie's ring?
Luckily, actually that ring is my grandmother's ring. So I got off scot-free on that aspect of, so I proposed on Skype and didn't pay for a ring. So
actually, his mother gave this to me. This is a gift from Sam.
So the illusion continues.
The illusion, yeah, exactly. We never signed any documents about the marriage, but Katie doesn't know that. So just in case there's we don't want prenuptial issues in the future.
Okay. Question for you. For you. Another one of my favorite philosophers, I don't know if she was Swedish or Italian, Raju Gabor. She said, a man is incomplete until he's married, and then he's finished. So is that true from, then he's finished, he's done for.
And then he's done for. You're done for. You're finished.
So what's your take on that?
My take on that? A man is incomplete until he's married, and then he's finished. You know, Sam still eats bachelor meals.
He still eats bachelor meals, okay.
He still eats bachelor meals. So I think he's still a bit incomplete. He's still got a bit of growing to do. So he's not finished yet.
Sam, how long will you take until you get finished?
35.
Yeah, 30, 35, that's my peak. You know, I don't know. I guess I'd have to ask you, Raju. How long have you been married?
I don't know if I'm done or not. I'm finished or unfinished.
You're
I have no idea.
Half baked, or
I've been in this for so long. I really don't have any memories. It's kind of fading, so I have no idea. So
I think that's a sign that it might be over, right? Yeah, you know, I feel like the moment you say I do, it's already over. It's just about how long. It's a slow death after that. No. I think. Married? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No. I think Raju Gabor is probably not the brightest, sharpest tack in the box.
I could go with that. This is something else. This is about the science behind relationships. I know you spoke about love and how you should be caring and passionate at the same time. Now, sometimes external signs of love are difficult to make out, no? And especially the act of the first kiss. I understand it's the most difficult thing to do. So was there a little decision-making process that you went through when you and Kate first kissed? I'm assuming that you kissed. You haven't told me that yet, but...
Yeah, at the wedding.
At the wedding? Yeah. Not on the first date or the second? So what...
Katie?
Your turn, yeah.
The first kiss. Well, we had gone on a date, like a formal date, to an art museum.
Okay.
And then after the art museum, we walked through the city of Boston. It was November. And I had this bad cold, actually. And I was supposed to meet a friend who never answered her phone, magically.
Yeah.
So Sam and I ended up going to dinner also. The date continued to extend.
Okay.
And then...
It sounds scandalous,
and then
I
I sort of tripped and fell and landed on his lips, and that's it.
Exactly.
Okay. So
but there was a little bit of snot involved due to her being. She was very sick. So
did you trip her so you could trip now?
Yeah, exactly. I had that some stuff. Okay. So it wasn't the most romantic first kiss. Probably I think there was a lot of sneezing but I think maybe that's how the best things start, right? Exactly.
Okay, right. Exactly. Now, here in the Philippines, you know, I don't want to talk about Philippines dating and kissing because it's taboo. There are certain cultures which are kind of soft and very generic to the Filipino culture. One of them being utang na loob. I don't know if you ever felt that or come across it or sense it in your interactions with Filipinos. What's your take on that as an American? As a global person, as a self-proclaimed guru on culture, what's your take?
So I proclaimed, I have a website, samscultureguru.com. Look it up. You know, I feel like, I guess for me, probably there's something about relationships where that's the case. And I don't mean that in like a superficial way, but when you're sharing a lot of time together, you have to be nice. You have to do little niceties here and there, but you need people to return that favor. You know, you need people to or you need your partner to be able to give you back what you're giving to the relationship. It can't be one-sided.
Right.
And so if that's, I think that's somewhere where I see that in relationships, that is very important.
How about at
Can I
work
just
and
add one thing?
You want to add? Yeah, okay.
I think that especially in romantic relationships, it's important to give and to receive also, but I think it's important not to expect to receive.
It's true. It's
That's
not
your
like-
perspective.
That's
on
my-
Sultan Mello.
that's my
How about in
perspective.
business and work? How about in business interaction, going to the bank, or having somebody do you a little favor at a time?
Yeah, I think in business you have to be very careful about that because business is business,
Yeah.
and even if you do someone a favor, maybe you don't expect things in return. But if you're not willing to give them the opportunity to pay you back for that favor, it creates bad blood.
Yeah.
No one wants to feel like they owe you something, and no one wants to feel like they're owed something. So I think if you're in business, you should expect that. If you do a favor, if someone does a favor for you, you should reciprocate, no question about it.
But you've never felt the brunt of it in the interactions with the Philippines because your customers are mostly overseas.
Yeah, my customers are
Mostly
U.S.
overseas.
Yeah, mostly U.S. Customers. So I haven't really felt the brunt of that, really.
Yeah. Filipino style of management, Filipino style of leadership. There's a culture, there's a value in the Philippines called hiya, which is big. Hiya in my language where I come from also means, it's also called haya. Haya is shame, as in like very sensitive kind of a shame, shyness. It's not really shyness, but it's here that means it may not look good, doesn't appear bad, it doesn't appear good. And that is a value, and yet it can be a challenge at times. And have you ever come across that in your interactions with Filipinos or other Asians? Here, haya.
Yeah. It could be something that you come across, like if you need to get something done out and about, if you're running errands, and for example, the shop doesn't have what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Or the taxi driver who doesn't want to take you or something.
But to me, this transcends all cultures because no one likes to feel shamed.
Right.
No one likes to lose face. It can be more pronounced in different cultures, and maybe you're saying that. I mean, if it's worked into the language and it's an actual aspect that people feel, then maybe it's more pronounced. Japan is very shame is something that's very important there and can lead to ritual suicide, right? But that's something that we all feel, right? We're not. No one's immune to feeling like they've been shamed. Everyone wants to put their best foot forward. Everyone wants to be treated like they're equal.
I was actually going there. I think that that's something that I feel very strongly, especially in the workplace.
In ADB.
In ADB.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really important when you're working to make a good impression on the people that you work for. If for some reason I couldn't deliver something on time or something, you try your very best to smooth that over, and then also to.
I think it actually acts up when you provide feedback to people. Yeah. In many Western countries or even European countries, you can provide direct, critical, head-on feedback and saying that this worked, this didn't work. And sometimes you can do it in the presence of a group because people look at it in a very objective way that, hey, I'm getting corrected. But here in the Philippines, prevents that kind of feedback, the kind of attitude. So did you ever come across that and say, how did you overcome that if you ever came across it?
I think establishing the company here and working with a lot of Filipinos, we're all kind of aware that exists, and I think ultimately just this comes actually full circle back to talking about care. If you care for people, which I think is important, whether you're in a relationship or any type of relationship, work relationship, you're going to learn as a blunt, moderately over caffeinated American, you're gonna learn what's appropriate and what's not appropriate depending upon the culture, and if you care about the people you're interacting with, you'll learn to adapt correctly, and you'll learn to treat them treat everyone how they need to be treated for things to be productive and for good feelings to be involved.
You've never been challenged and you've been fine and you've applied care and respect all through.
I'm oversensitive.
You're oversensitive. Okay. Now a couple of questions before we end the show. We've got 5 minutes to go. I've got 2 questions for you. Number 1 is coming from the culture of a task-based attitude in U.S. and so direct and so upfront. What kind of values have you brought from home that are useful to you here? Really powerful, and they work well for you. What is that little American thing about yourself that works well?
Sam?
Honestly, I think it's kind of I think being direct is very helpful, as long as you do it with some care. But I know that the people that I work with, we work with all U.S. clients, and there's some sort of like a feeling that you're going to be able to work together very well because you're interacting and it's just like it's all on the table. So I think that is something, I think at our organization we're in a very open environment where like someone does something wrong, we'll sit down together and we'll all talk it out. And you might feel a little bit nervous, you know, as the individual that's part of it, but really it's all about growth and reaching our potential as individuals and as a group. So I think being very direct, I think, is to me, and maybe this is very American of me, but I think it's good for the world, you know, a little bit.
I was having lunch with a man from Indonesia this week, and he also works at ADB, and he was talking about humility, which I think is a value that I've always sort of tried to cultivate in terms of the workplace. Humility in the workplace is something that I value, and also something that he values as a person from Indonesia, and he was saying that was very un-American of me.
To be able to have that.
To value humility in the workplace. But I think, I mean, that's just a stereotype of what American values are.
So it's a misconception about Americans.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
All right, let's take this now.
But you can actually see, sorry I'm going to interrupt you, but you can see that it's very American us too. We're here to talk about relationships and we're talking about work, which is very, that's another
you want to share things, so last thing, this is closing because, let's talk about relationships then, but let me, one more. What is that one Filipino value or culture that if you ever leave Philippines, would you take away with you and say, this is what I learned in the Philippines and I love it very much. I'll keep it with me forever.
For me, I think it's the sense of community, about interdependence instead of
pakikasama. That's the one. Pakikasama.
Instead of independence, because being here, being away from my family, having to establish a new community of friends, a new network, it made me really value that. I really value that. I can see how that's really useful in terms of.
Sam.
Yeah, I think actually I think humility is one of the
something you take home.
Yeah, something I'll take home. I think fostering humility is good in general for everyone, myself included. And I think in this culture, people are very smart and they work very hard, but they're not. They're humble, you know, which is it's just such a breath of fresh air compared to some of the ego that you brush up against in the U.S., where people who shouldn't have such large egos do have them, and you're butting heads a lot, you know. Which
great. Last question.
If we had to get married, would we do it again?
Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Definitely.
between relationships with another individual and between relating to a lot of people at the same time, no? What is that one rule of thumb that you'd always recommend to overcome cultural or personality differences? What's that one rule of thumb? You say, okay, just take this medicine and apply it. What would be yours and what would be yours?
I would say patience.
Patience for you with an individual and with a group of people. How about you?
Listening, like really hearing what somebody is saying.
All right. So thank you very much for being on this show, and it was wonderful learning about your relationships, about your insights and culture. And if there's anything you want to tell your friends about love and romance and marriage without singing the My Way song, it's yours for the next 1 minute. So ladies and gentlemen, that's Kate and Sam, and here they are.
I guess I just want to say to all my Facebook friends, no, I'm just kidding. I got nothing.
Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, everyone here in the Philippines, and also to my family back home. Love you.
Yeah, and hope you enjoyed the whole show.
Do you have anything profound to say, Sam, from where you come from? Something major?
a major milestone. To all my Facebook friends, no, I'm going to lose all my Facebook friends tomorrow. No, I think love is an important aspect of living, I think, a healthy and well-rounded life. I think without love, you can get too caught up in things that seem to add value or are valuable, and they're not. And if you have love, if you love an individual, if you love a family, a whole group, immediately those things that you think are very, life wouldn't exist without them. All of a sudden, love overtakes that, and it's something that everyone deserves. So,
happy Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's Day.
Had you asked me
Day.
that question about what's that one rule of thumb between humility, listening, and patience, I would have chosen love. There you go.
Very
Good evening.
good.
So thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. I hope you enjoyed Expat Insights today. Happy Valentine's Day. And that was Sam and Kate. Good night. Have a fun-filled weekend and see you next week. Next week we have John Casey from the Australian New Zealand Chamber of Commerce. Good night and mabuhay. Thank you very much.
Mabuhay.
thank you. Yeah.